Geeta Mohan, who is also in Dubai. She is very closely tracking the COP28 summit. Geeta, Prime Minister Modi has just landed. What's on the agenda for India?
Well, he has a packed schedule, about 5 engagements, 8 bilaterals. So a packed day, and it's a one-day event. He landed last evening and will be leaving today evening after the event, which begins with the climate summit, that is the opening of the climate summit, and followed by his address, which is going to take place immediately after the leadership, that is Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, speak. This would be the opening session, which is called the World Climate Summit Action. Then he would followed by some bilateral meetings. Then there's a ceremonial opening of the high-level segment for heads of state and heads of government, which he'll attend around 1 p.m. And then presidency's session of transforming climate finance. Nabila, this time around, Prime Minister Modi is going to focus on climate justice, equity, climate finance. Yesterday, there was a very important decision on the loss and damage fund for developing nations, where some countries pledged money. We'll see how many more come up with more money. But the fact is that for developing nations to reach the level of developed nations and yet not impact climate change, it's the developed nations who have to sacrifice a little for the first movers advantage that they've had. And that's climate justice that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to talk about. He'll also emphatically speak on lifestyle for environment, where one has to make changes in one's lifestyle to ensure that climate change is tackled. There is another high-level event called Green Credits Program, again, something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi envisaged himself as well. And then a leadership group for industry transition. Transition of industries into green technology is something that has been the focus of India too.
You said green technology. Is there any focus around, what kind of focus around green technology, Geeta, if you could give us a little elaborate insight into coal, the usage of coal that India relies on. It seems like that's going to be a real topic of conversation at the COP28 summit. Prime Minister Modi is going to be delivering 4 speeches and will also be focusing around what else can India adopt to ensure green energy, at least adapting to green energy.
Well, that's a very important point. After the commitments that India made with regards to coal and coal emissions, there is now a decision that with the kind of wars that we are seeing, with the kind of conflicts that one is witnessing, the rise and surge in oil and gas prices, it seems like India's dependency on coal cannot be wished away anytime soon. So there is a bit of a U-turn or a walk back on usage of coal, which will continue. But there is commitment that they will be looking at reducing coal dependency. It is not going to happen as early as one would have thought or imagined, or that India had pledged.
Well, we see lots of global leaders there. Geeta, do list out for us. We see the Saudi Crown Prince, Prime Minister Modi. Who else is part of this COP28 summit? It also comes right at a time when we saw war in the Middle East. We see Russia, Ukraine. Post that, this is one of those few international summits with most global leaders in attendance.
Right. Just now, we just saw Cyril Ramaphosa, the South African president, enter. Before that, we saw the Brazilian president, Lula da Silva, who also came just after Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There are going to be a lot of top leadership from various countries, including the UK, France's Macron. But we do know that at the topmost level, the United States of America is not being represented neither by the president nor by the vice president. The topmost leadership or representation by the United States of America is by U.S. Special Representative on Climate Change, John Kerry, who is also a former Secretary of State of the United States of America. But Antonio Guterres and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who are hosting this event, are the ones who are greeting all these leaders. You're looking at the Japanese premier now, also as part of this entire Climate Change Summit. We'll see a lot of participation from Africa, from Southeast Asia, from the Far East. But when it comes to countries that really, the Jordanian King, King Abdullah, again, has just greeted the Sheikh and the United Nations Secretary General. He's come here at a time standing with the ruler of the UAE at a time when there is a conflict in the region, and Jordan has a very important role to play as also a stakeholder. So very important meeting there. But going back to the Southeast Asia and the Far East, we're seeing representation. But when it comes to the conversations on how climate change is impacted because of all the various conflicts and wars, we are not going to see Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin in this meeting, and that certainly will be telling. Although, yes, there is going to be a strong representation from both quarters.
And India is a serious player and an important player. Here we see very telling images there of Prime Minister Modi with those global leaders, the Saudi Crown Prince, who's also present there. It's happening in Dubai. Prime Minister Modi has landed into Dubai. He's part of this summit to deliver at least 4 speeches. And primary importance of COP28 summit is to see how countries associated with COP28 are going to be reducing their dependence on fossil fuel, adopting more green energy. Prime Minister Modi to be giving out suggestions on what India is looking forward to on that front. More reactions coming in on COP28 summit as Prime Minister Modi has just arrived.
I'm right outside the India Pavilion, which was inaugurated by Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav today. And we have people over here who've come just to look at what the India Pavilion really means. We know that India is projecting a few things. One, from the G20, the message continues. One Earth, one family, one future. But apart from that, this globe with the hands clearly show what Prime Minister's message is, and that is lifestyle for environment. That people need to change their lifestyle to ensure that environment and the planet is protected. The conversations over here are about sustainability, sustainable lifestyle, but also about how there are developing countries and there are those that are developed. A strong message that you'll see from India, from the Indian Premier, is that of the global south, climate justice, equity, climate financing, and how the developed countries will have to pitch in, that they need to walk the talk, that global warming is a serious, serious challenge for the world, but it is a bigger challenge for developing countries or least developed countries than for the developed world, and so they need to pitch in more than the global south. At COP28 in Dubai, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत इंस्पायरिंग मोमेंट था, बहुत मोटिवेटिंग मोमेंट था. उनको देख के हमें बहुत अच्छा लगा, हम स्टूडेंट्स को स्पेशली.
आज मोदी जी को देख करके ऐसा लगा अहो भाग्य धन्य हो गए. आज यूएई में 20 साल से रह रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी ऐसा लगा कि अपना कोई इस देश में आया है. पूरी दुनिया में भारत का नाम रोशन करने वाला भारत का हीरा है. नरेंद्र मोदी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार कि आप यूएई में आए और हमें आपके दर्शन लेने का मौका मिला.